Okay, just 5 more minutes. Our team will look at the demonstration that we have going on, and I hope to see some of the faces
Long
that
time. Resident of Middlesex County. Grew up here.
We've had a lot of Asbury Park.
Cartoons, some about Kwanzaa.
Kelly, we're so excited to have you. Hello, AP. Blue Bishop for life. All right. Have to put that in. Have to get that in. Hello, Asbury Park, my home, the place that loved and nurtured me and my family for decades. It's so good to see you all tonight. Thank you for braving the cold to join me as I share the essence of my grandmother, Hazel. Yes, Hazel. For those of you who knew Hazel know what I'm talking about. Yes. And I'd like to first thank Kay Harris, the founder and president of the Asbury Park Museum, and to the dear family friend for hosting this event in conjunction with the Asbury Park Historical Society. Thank you to the Asbury Park Library for providing this perfect venue. Thank you. Thank you. This place supplied the books that brought so much joy to my grandmother and myself and a lot of our AP folks. But I hope I don't spoil anything, and there's some special excerpts that I have. I'm sorry. They were fortunate to hear domestic workers were needed at some of the fancy hotels on the seashore in the summer. Rose suggested she and Hazel take a trip to a quaint town called Asbury Park, New Jersey. The west side of Asbury Park was only a few feet from the lake across the main street of the town. It was separated by the visible boundary of the railroad tracks from the east side of Asbury Park. The stroll down Springwood Avenue, the street that connected the different sides of the city, was fascinating. It reminded Hazel of Harlem and all the activities and excitement of folks who were mainly people of color. Springwood Avenue was filled with eateries, hair salons, barbershops, tailor shops, churches of various religions on every corner, nightclubs, pool halls, and family-run stores. This west side jewel of a street created an atmosphere of pride. It was a town within a town where people of color lived and thrived. There were apartments, homes large and modest, and schools both public and parochial. The streets were wide and clean with concrete sidewalks that looked newly paved. Men dressed in suits nodded and tipped their hats when they passed, and women wearing belted skirts or knee-length dresses glanced and smiled. Hazel was a little overwhelmed with how friendly strangers were in this small town, but felt this place could be her home away from home.
Come on,
All right, but Kelly's family.
Come on.
Yes, where is he? Tommy?
Come on,
Hello.
Tommy.
I'll have to introduce Tommy also a little bit. Tommy is my mom's first husband, who is a true father to me. He was in the military at the time when they got married, and that's how I ended up living in Germany for 2 years. So here he is tonight, my dad. Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right, this is my son, Corey. My grandson, KJ. He's in his second year of college and is being inducted in the Hall of Fame of Honor Society next week. Right. My daughter Courtney. And my husband Stacy, he's our financier. And this is my cousin Chucky. And this is Avenia's son. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. All my friends, co-workers, new friends, Facebook friends.
Yeah, well, the turnout is breathtaking. It was good, very good.
I thought the presentation was good, and I thought the book was really wonderful because as a child of Asbury Park, I was excited and delighted every page to see what the name of what street or what church, what was going to be familiar to me. And it made me think of my parents' arrival in Asbury Park. Story wasn't the same, but still, so many of our parents came here from other places and had the same kind of beginning that Hazel did. It was wonderful.
Well, I was just excited to have the opportunity to present Kelly and her book to the public. And I'm hoping that the word will get out and there can be more programs like this. And she's just done such an excellent job in the actual writing of the book. Her aunt was my best friend, so I kind of grew up with the Walkers. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my full disclosure.
I read it in like one afternoon, so I mean it's a page turner. A lot that I learned about, because that's my great grandmother. Kelly's my mom, so it's like, you know, hearing about new things was really enlightening. So I loved it. And what a great turnout tonight, and thanks for everybody for coming out. It's a great night.
Because Pam and I are both authors, okay, and we know how hard it is to write. And we went through it in a couple nights. I picked it up and started reading. I read it all in one night. You couldn't put it down. It's a wonderful book.
I loved it. I read the book. I had the opportunity to read it a couple of months ago, and I enjoyed it. Absolutely enjoyed it. It touched on some things, too. You know, her mother talked about Scrivers Row in Harlem. I lived there. I went to school with her little brother. We were in kindergarten, elementary school together. Of course, her sister, everybody. Yes. I'm just amazed. Should I be looking in the camera or looking at you?
Express yourself.
Let me tell you, I am beyond overwhelmed and truly blessed to have had this event and to come back to the Asbury Park Library because it was an integral part to me and my grandmother, who I write about. Okay. And this is like full circle, coming home.
So have you always been a writer?
No. I'm going to tell you, I've been reading for years. My grandmother was an avid reader. She just made sure that I read everything under the sun. We read together, we talked about books together. But this is the first time that I actually wrote something. This came from just out of my love for her. Let me tell you, there were days when I would write and write and write, and I would read it over myself, and I would say, I actually wrote that. It came. And a lot of it, I think my grandmother was speaking through me to get her stories told, because that's what she always wanted. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell. And I would say, I'm going to write your story one day.
So how much editing did you edit after?
Well, not much. Not much. And she's my girlfriend from many years. We're members of a book club together. And she's always doing some creative writing, and she actually works for the Department of Education. And I said, could you just look at this? Don't change my writing style, I said, but just see if the commas are right and all of that punctuation, if I was a little lacking there. So she helped me with that. It is a city of art. It's a wonderful city. I always loved it. My family lived here for decades, and it just was heartwarming for me to come back home to share this experience and to share my grandmother's stories. And I'm so happy and I'm so blessed that Asbury Park just received me as well as they did, and everyone else that showed up. And I hope everybody enjoys the book.